Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 5th day of March, 2019. Well, I am having a little bit of trouble getting going this morning. This is like the third time I've started. I got up this morning. I didn't do the lunar transits last night, so I did those, and I just posted them on the blog at imsteppingaside.com. The blog's called Stepping Aside, and it's a witch blog, among other things. There's some stuff. There's a grimoire on there. There's some stuff on cannabis. I'm a cannabis patient, and some stuff on Reiki and being an empath and all of that good stuff. So check that out if you like. The monthly tarot reading is up, as is the monthly geomancy reading. And sometimes I rant a bit on there, so as I do here. So anyhow, if it's your first time, welcome. If you've come back, thank you. Click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that. Tomorrow's the new moon, which is everywhere. We'll be likely working magic, setting intentions to be fulfilled on the full moon, maybe. Not magic is good or cord magic is useful, I think, on the new moon. I like to use it. There's one that you can do where you tie 13 knots and then untie them on the full moon. And of course, whatever it is that you're casting, you're doing that while you're tying the knots, of course. I've just always liked it. I don't know. Sometimes I do divination on the new moon, so I'll probably do like a bind rune or something and use that to cast an intention. I could do that. So, I mean, you can do pretty much anything. Tomorrow is a Wednesday, and that's when the new moon is. And that's communication. So you would make use of Mercury and the intellect and all of that when crafting the spell. Maybe you're having communication issues with somebody and you want to find a way around that, so you could do something like that. Set the intention for a better relationship with someone, maybe. I don't know. You could do that. If working it today, though, you could make use of Mars energy. So sort of get things going with that catalytic type of energy. So we really have, the energy to get things started today, I think. Step outside your comfort zone for the month. March is a 3 energy, and so is 2019. So in a way, we had last year was about illumination. It was an 11 year. And so we were learning about things and finding out about things. And now we need to manifest something new, a new direction, based on the awareness that we've gained over last year and the awareness we're continuing to gain over this year, because there'll be more. There's clarity involved, there's light involved. Catalytic energy is the fire element, so you're talking about truly the energy to manifest whatever you need. So but let's go ahead and get started with we'll go ahead and draw a card, and likely 3 cards, and then we'll draw a rune, and we'll see what the influences are for today. So the process is I count 13 and I draw a card. I like this to be as random as possible. I mean, I started out doing this thing with just 1 card and 1 rune, but you can never. I mean, especially if you pull a court card, you really do need to pull another one to have something to interact with. So eventually it just grew to 3 cards, and that's what I do now. Only I don't like to do them. I could just do 3 cards, pull 3 cards at once, but I like the randomness that going through and pulling a card will give you. I just like that better. I really want to see how all of the more random aspects of the tarot can then, pull together in some kind of integrated fashion. And so, although typically in a 3-card reading, you would just lay cards down, one right after the other, I don't do that. Not here anyway. I mean, in other 3-card readings I do, but not here. I just like the randomness. So that's why when I pull the next card, I'm going to count 13 again. And that's that's a number that just means something to me. I was born on the 13th. No one else has to do it. You can find your own way, but that's just what I do here uh, for this little gathering that we do. So anyhow, I pulled the 10. It's the 10th card of the major arcana, the Wheel of Fortune. You never know. You never know how the wheel is going to turn. Here you see the cherubic elements up there that actually do represent the elements. You see the serpent, oh, I forget what that's called. You've got the Sphinx on top. Is that a griffin? What is that guy? Anyway, that is the alchemical nature of life. Mercury, sulfur, and salt. I got this way. I pulled this one other time and I couldn't remember the salt. I remember the other two, but I couldn't remember. I think it's salt, but I was thinking, no, that's not right. Well, yeah, it is. I double checked afterwards, but yeah, it's just all of the ingredients of life and cycles and all that we need to be successful, basically. As a 10 card, that reduces to 1 or new beginnings. And so as the wheel turns, we're always in that, in other words, every moment is new. I mean, basically it is, isn't it? So as that wheel turns, we're still, embarking on new experiences that bring success and synchronicity. There's a sense of completion with the wheel. We see it, we think of the wheel in the pagan world. We think in the witch world, we think of the wheel as, well, I do anyway, in terms of the wheel of the year. I also, I had a labyrinth outside in the garden area. It's next to my my medicine garden, and but I could never keep the weeds out of it, and so I just decided to change it, and I changed it into an 8-spoke medicine wheel, which basically is this. And in 3 of the spokes, I've planted elderberry bushes, and I'm going to keep them at bush height. I'm not going to let them get tree height. And then I've also, if the snow would leave, then I think in April is when I will, I have some Vitex that I started last year, and they're pretty good size. I mean, they're about yay big now, and so they're ready to go into the ground. I could have done it in the fall, but I don't know. I lost one already when I did that before, and so I just decided to leave them in the pots. And of course, now they're covered in snow, and I mean, totally covered in snow. So I don't know what's going to happen. I hope they're going to be okay. I think they will. They seemed to come through the winter fine before the snow hit last week. So the rest of the spokes of the wheel, I'll plant. I'll put a Vitex tree. Well, I'll keep them again bush height. I'll put one of those in there. And elderberry, if you're not familiar with that, elderberry is great for respiratory issues. They've done studies on it, and elderberry tincture is very effective in shortening the flu. And so I use that during the cold and flu season, especially if I'm out and about and I'm in areas where people are coughing and whatnot. My husband doesn't even let me touch a shopping cart now without wiping it down, with one of those wipes. You can get it when you go into the stores now. But and then the Vitex, the berry there is useful for hot flashes. So, it's a win-win for the crone. It was a good decision, I think, to make that into the medicine wheel. But basically, you're talking about, again, about the law of prosperity, basically. As things keep going, you're going to prosper eventually. It's not always going to not work out in your favor. So whenever you see the Wheel of Fortune, know that something is about to manifest that probably has happened because of your own hard work. But even if not, sometimes things just gel, don't they? And all of a sudden, the most amazing things begin to happen. So now that we see this come up today, either you're experiencing something like that in your life, or maybe that's going to happen for you. So let's go ahead, though, and pull another card. and see if we can get a little more information. See if this is something that's coming, or if it's maybe, you're about to realize the fruits of your labors. So. Well, another major arcana card, this time the ninth, the Hermit. Here he's standing up on the mountaintop there in solitude, holding a staff in one hand and a Merkaba lighted lantern in the other. The Hermit is similar to the Hanged Man in that basically what you're doing is you're going within. The moon's in Pisces right now, and basically that's what it's asking us to do, is to go within and kind of explore, how we feel about things, particularly if our emotions are in flux right now, and to know that others are experiencing the same thing, and it may be best not only to be thinking about how you feel emotionally, but to be there and extend love and compassion to someone else who might be experiencing, even if you're not experiencing emotions in flux, someone else might be. And so this is a time to kind of step back and be not aware just of yourself, but of others as well, and what they might be going through. The Hermit, though, it's divine wisdom. It's seeking divine wisdom within. And the other thing about the Hermit is it tells me to step back and get a better perspective, to get a soul-centered perspective on something, to let higher self inform the process instead of ego. Sometimes when the Wheel of Fortune is active, it can be about ego, can't it? Especially if you get a little carried away with building wealth and all of that. And so maybe you do it at the expense of other people. And so when you see the 4 elements surrounding here and also the 3 in the center, and we're really talking about keeping things in balance as we're building our fortune and building our wealth and building our success. It's too easy to be more earthly centered and physically centered and ego centered in a situation like this than it is to be magnanimous and thinking about other people. This is also the card of Hecate. It's the creator personified, the creator within. It's about receiving silent counsel. So I think that what the Hermit is telling us, we're going to draw a 3rd card here, but I think what the Hermit is telling us is that with respect to how we look at fortune, is it in a service to self? Does it have a service to self focus, or does it have a service to others focus? I mean, of course you want to build your wealth for your own security. Of course you do. But typically, if you're a business owner, you realize that you're not doing that alone likely. You likely have employees that are making all of that possible for you. Years ago, there was an idea. I'm sure it's still an idea. I'm sure people still think about this, but it's a business model where you invert the pyramid. If you look at a business in terms of a pyramid, theoretically, if you don't invert it, then the head of the company is the important one on the top. If you invert the pyramid, then suddenly you realize who's at the top are your staff. And they're the ones that actually make all of that possible for you. And I think that, we forget sometimes, and we go it alone, or we forget that we do have others that can help us, or we forget that we already do have others helping us, and they're the ones making it possible for us for that Wheel of Fortune to turn in our favor. And so the Hermit is telling us to take a step back and be aware of the bigger picture here. Be aware of what's really involved in this whole Wheel of Fortune for you. And understand that you got here with other people. Maybe you didn't necessarily get here all by yourself. Now, of course, if you did, bravo, because if you've done everything on your own, you've never had anybody help you, you've never had anybody introduce you to somebody, you've never had anybody write you a letter of recommendation, well, good on you, because you've managed to do something the rest of us can't. we all need assistance in that regard. And I think that the Hermit is just letting us know that you're not the only one here in this process, that there are others involved as well. So let's take a third card and see if we can get a little more information. Well, the Ace of Wands. A hand comes out of a cloud with a crude club in it, representing a wand, representing will, our ability to manifest. There's not a lot there. You see some ground in the, a little bit of hills maybe in the background, some trees. Looks like there's a river winding through. Looks like a taller peak in the background, in the distance. But the Ace of Wands, again, aligns well with, the energy for March and for this year, because it's really the beginning of will. It's how are we going to manifest will in our lives? How are we going to get things going? It's all involved in the Wheel of Fortune, because we're basically manifesting wealth, we're manifesting success, we're manifesting security here. But the Ace of Wands is about creativity and invention. And again, catalytic expression. It can also be about inheritance. And so when you look at the Hermit, again, the Ace of Wands is reinforcing the idea that there's a bigger energy at work here. That there's more of the collective consciousness at work in our success than we realize, because we are not individuals. Actually, we're actually part of the collective consciousness, if we acknowledge higher self and we allow that to guide us through life, basically. But it's about, suddenly that it explodes out of the clouds. So it's about passion and energy and invention and creative thought. But it's also about, given the idea of the manifestation of something new, you can't escape the fact that this is also about family and legacy. And so evidently something is manifesting on our horizons. It either has, and we're reaping the benefit, or we're about to move into something this month where in fact that is going to be our focus, where we're going to be manifesting something new. The Hermit just reminds us that, we need to be aware that there's more than just us in the mix, and that there could be other needs as well that are involved in all of this. And so this could be something that's going to benefit a family, or more than just the individual in any event. Maybe the business is doing well enough that you can give people raises. Maybe you can buy new equipment. Maybe you can move to a new location that better suits your needs. But something has happened, and it needs to be thought of in terms of something that is in terms of the greater aspect of self, something more collective in nature than just simply the individual. But let's do a rune and see what it has. And I don't count 13 on the runes. I just let the runes fall through my hand in the bag. And I've switched back to my Hawthorn runes. We have Hagalaz, the witch rune, the 9th rune of the Elder Futhark. Destruction and preparation for change. It's a water element rune. Change within a fixed framework, which is sort of what happens when witches cast spells. We invoke change within a fixed framework that we're working within, be it the circle, the sacred space, or a specific area in which a witch may work. Sometimes, let's see, where is it? Here it is. Sometimes I use this. I use a triangle, and I do work within a triangle. I have runes. I don't know if you can see them. I have Theban's, I've got Theban's script here. I don't think I did anything on the others, but I've got Theban's script here engraved on it, wood burned onto it. I don't think you can see it though. But it really it's about even charm bags who could be considered the same thing. Um, a bind rune as well could be considered the same thing, working change within a fixed framework. Um, and I really think that the fixed framework is found with the hermit. I think that all too often ego drives our experiences. And when that happens, we rarely live life in balance. We're usually in a service to self mode and not thinking about other people that might either help us get there or might also reap the rewards with us. So I think that the structure needs to be established by the hermit, where you are able to stand back and take a look at the greater picture and see how doing so actually benefits the success that you're looking for and that you're working toward. Yeah, I would say I think in order to complete, since Hagalaz is a rune of completion, given its 9 energy, I think in order to find completion of the wheel, whatever we're manifesting, or whatever we have manifested in order to create the success, if we're on that end of it, I think that I think it happens within that fixed framework of the soul and the higher self, providing that whole structure and framework from which we can manifest. So you can either manifest from the ego or manifest from higher self. And I think what this reading is telling us is that we need to manifest from higher self perspective. See through the eyes of source vision. And let that be the focus that guides your way forward. Well, that's interesting. Well, cool. Not bad for a day of change. Little higher self informed change. But that's good. Things have been difficult, haven't they? I read that like 1,000 TSA agents still haven't gotten their back pay, and I don't know if those are contracted workers or if they're just regular TSA employees. But 1,000 workers haven't gotten their back pay from the shutdown. What's that? Those people take care of us at airports, pay them. Anyhow, well, I guess that's it for today. I think that next Monday, it looks like, well, it could be 36 on Sunday if things don't change. And so we might start to see some melting then. We've seen a little bit of melting, but then it got cold again and it stopped doing that. It doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot of snow again, maybe as much as 3 inches, and that's not enough to really worry about. I don't think my husband's going to have to use the snowblower on the driveway again. He's already done it twice. But and then Monday, it looks like it's going to maybe be in the 40s. And so we should start to see, it's funny. I lived in Alaska. I grew up in Alaska, and I spent 6 years there in the 60s. And after the winter, you'd have what was called breakup. And so I almost said to my husband yesterday, yeah, well, then Monday the breakup will start, but I'm thinking it, because it takes a long time for breakup up there to happen and to dissipate all the snow. But that's what they call it. They call it the breakup. And so I guess Monday will begin the breakup here in Central Oregon. It's maybe Sunday, I don't know. But with any luck, I'll be able to get outside and we'll be able to take a look at what happened and clean things up and start cleaning out the gardens and getting them ready for gardening season. And then my husband still needs to start some peppers and tomatoes. He's going to do that this month, I guess. And because the peppers take a while to grow. They don't really get all that big. The Thai peppers don't. And they're small. The peppers themselves are really small, but they're wonderful. And I put them in everything. I don't care what it is. We grind them up, and so I put them in a pepper shaker, and I put it on everything. Um, Cookies, oatmeal. I don't care what it is. The pepper goes in, and it just wakes everything up. It's just amazing. So, oh, also jams and jellies. You can put it in there, and it just brings the taste alive. It's amazing. So, anyhow, I always grow a lot of them because I go through a lot of it. I use it just like I would use black pepper. In fact, I don't really care for black pepper, so I use it more than I would that. So, anyhow, we're trying to do that and get those going. So I've got uh, enough for next year and or this year. I guess we're in this year. So, anyhow, um, I guess that's it then. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for coming by. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.